Good morning, ladies. Praise the Lord. Good
morning.
Good morning. My name is Sister Nakiesha Brown. I want to thank Miss Karen for inviting me to speak today after seeing me do my poem at the talent show. I want to thank First Lady and all the True Spirit members who always welcome me. Even though I'm not a member, I feel like I'm a member adjacent.
Amen.
And God knows when I don't change.
Yeah.
He knows. But so I just want to share some words on transformation. So when I was told the topic, I kind of struggled with it because when I think of transformation, I automatically think of transition. And as a poet and someone who studies words, I know they're not the same thing. But I always think of transition. And I think of the transitions I had in my life, which were not good things. So back in 2017, my dad was diagnosed with deadly cancer, given 2 months to live. Now my dad was my idol. And I saw him go through transitions and transformation in his life, from being an addict to being clean for 30 years. He was given 2 months to live. But God had the last say, and he lasted a whole year. But those last 6 months were horrible, but I walked with him, and I was able to help care for my dad. That time I started getting closer to God, started learning the Bible, and I was going through my own transition without knowing it. Well, the very next year, my mother dropped dead. My mother had been an addict in the streets of San Francisco for 30 years. So it was not something we didn't consider would happen. But to still get that phone call that my mother dropped dead. You know, the fentanyl and the opioid epidemic is home disease. But I had to keep moving. I had things to do. So I still kept going. Through that transition, I was able to make it. So then a couple years later, COVID hit. That was another transition. But I stayed steadfast. I was on my P's and Q's with my health. We had to transition to staying in the house when we're used to being out. My son got COVID twice, but he was okay. My baby sister got COVID twice, but she survived. So then after COVID started dying down, I said, I like emergency management. This was the career I was kind of thrown into during COVID. Found a job out here. Never been to Colorado before. Was about to move sight unseen. Came out here one time, found an apartment. So I moved out here almost 3 years ago. Next month, 3 years. Job with the county. My dream job, so I thought. The most money I've ever made in my life. Within 3 months of getting here, I found out they were racist. They were biased to people from California. I didn't know the hate was real with Californians. I didn't know anything about the waterways, the whole climate change thing. And I said, what did I get myself into? This is not the transition I asked for, right? But during this time, I stayed steadfast. I tried to find a church. Hadn't heard of you guys yet. Couldn't find a church. But I'm like, you know what? If God moved me here, this is where I need to be. Although I didn't see it, right? I tried to come to work with a smile and be positive. Well, February of 2023, 2 years ago, got the worst phone call in my life. My baby sister was murdered back in California by her boyfriend, domestic violence. I wasn't prepared for that. With my dad, we got a warning. With my mom, we knew the lifestyle. Not my baby sister. She was born in the 80s, you know, chemically influenced because my mom was in the lifestyle. She had a hard life. I said, why my baby sister? So from that day on, I didn't look at the job the same. Everything else I would look at and brush off with a smile. I could care less anymore. And it was obvious, you know, I'm a very exuberant, energetic person. I would come to work, I couldn't fake it anymore. So fast forward, dealing with the job, trying to hold on, and within a year I said, you know what, this Colorado experiment is not working anymore. I gave it 2 years, so this time last year in March, I'm like, I'm going back home at the end of the year. When I finish graduate school, I'm going back home. By then I had found my church, Trinity. By then I had found True Spirit, so I felt like I got 2 churches. At the same time, I didn't know God was working on me and working on my personal ministry. I started back writing again. As I shared with some of you all, I had writer's block for 20 years. I started speaking again. I started going to grief counseling meetings and found myself being a speaker. And I had 3 different women come up to me and say, you got some counseling or some healing properties. You can take your story to help other women. I said, it's too close, it's gonna hurt too much. She said, but once you get past initial shock, you can help other people. And I left that day and said, I don't think I can be a counselor for women going through domestic violence, but maybe I can be a counselor for their family members. Because I was confused. How did I not know this was going on with my sister? This was going on before I moved. I kind of felt like if I would have stayed there, it wouldn't have happened. But with domestic violence, it's almost like being on drugs. They're not in control anymore. So as I'm hearing and I'm fighting the counseling, I'm fighting the helping, I'm still miserable at my job. I'm finishing a master's in emergency management, and I'm at a job for emergency management, which I hate my job. So I'm thinking, now I'm stuck in this degree. I got 2 masters I'm almost done with, so I need to finish this master's. Well, come October this past year, I got suspended from work. And the day I got suspended, can I tell you, a weight came off me. I left that job. I was suspended with pay. Amen. But I left that job saying I ain't never coming back. Amen. And I said, God, if I can get one more paycheck so I can pay November's rent, I can figure out the rest. I was on the payroll until December 30th. I only missed 1 check. God held me. My job blocked my unemployment. But guess what? I still didn't stress, because at this time now, I had transitioned to a closer relationship with God. And I didn't know this, but I was transforming. And as I'm learning, as I'm talking, I'm learning the difference between the 2 words. Transition means you're going from one place to another. And a lot of times we associate that with something bad. Someone dies, you lose a job, you lose a relationship. But transformation means you're changing as you go. You losing some of you, but you keeping some of you. But the whole goal is, the end result is going to be something better. So as I stand today, I say, I went 6 months without working. But I said, God had me. I lived off my savings, my 401k. I said, that's what it's there for. Financial aid, I'm still in school. And guess what? I started driving Uber in October. In August. I said, I'm almost been off 6 months. I only got 1 more month of savings left. God gonna have me. So I went from making my dream 6-figure job to driving Uber. I still kept going to church with a smile. Amen. Back in May, I went home on vacation with a smile, and I got a call while I was on vacation for a job that I was supposed to interview for a temp. And when I came to the interview, it was for a permanent job. And when I left that job, they called me back in an hour and offered me the job. And this is as a case manager. Still kind of counseling, dealing with justice-related people who've been in and out of jail on drugs. And I said, man, can I do this? My mom was on drugs 30 years. My sister was a victim of domestic violence. Is this going to be too much trauma for me? And I went and saw my therapist, and she said, Nakiesha, you're such a sensitive person. Everything will be trauma for you. You might say, wait, somebody don't have enough money. And my therapist saw me that I was a woman of faith without me bringing it up. And she said, aren't you a woman of God? I can see that. She said, so it may be something you can do to help these women. She said, try it, and if it don't work, quit. You wasn't working a month ago. Just go back to not working. Drive over to the next job comes. So I share that to say, transitions, transformations, we have a lot of different words to describe change. But as I walked away when I got asked to speak on transition, initially I felt like, I don't like that word because my sister didn't get to transform. She got killed before she became a butterfly. But then I had to change my mindset when I went and Googled transition versus transformation. Transformation is you becoming anew. And it actually showed a spiritual reference. You get closer to God, you do leave some of the old of you. You do have to kill the old self. I haven't been to Club Toad in 2 years, y'all. You do have to leave some of that old self too. My old nickname is Lemon Drop. I don't let people call me that no more. Because that's the old me. And so only God knows where I'm going to end and where I'm supposed to be, whether it's counseling, whether it's figuring out what my ministry is going to be, because I still don't know what it's going to be. But I just want to leave this poem with you guys, the poem some of you heard already, just to say, when you're struggling through something, you might don't have the answers, but God does. And He might don't tell you you have the answers, but you have to stay steadfast. You have to stay determined. Prayer it up and keep your faith up and keep positive people around you, because sometimes when you're going through it, you don't want to hear about God. God don't answer my phone. He on the main line, I'm going on the second line. Sometimes when we want a personal pity party, we don't want God, but He's always there. He's not going to leave us or forsake us. So I just want to share with you this poem that I wrote at a time I was going through things 10 years ago. I don't always believe my own words, but I still recite this poem in case it helps somebody else. It's called And I. My Lord, my testimony, and I. And so I had doubts in my mind, for I felt the true answers I would never find. Although I tried and I tried, I just couldn't conceptualize. Why, oh why, He would make that type of sacrifice just to save this tainted soul of mine. So I cried and I cried for my pain I could no longer hide. Although I did try to keep it bottled inside. But God, He was kind. He said, hold on, Nakiesha, these things take time. For I am divine. You may not see it now, but there's always a reason to my rhyme. So then I couldn't deny that I required a little more insight. And so God, he obliged, because he knew my vision wasn't right. And then he lent me his eyes. And suddenly I began to regain my sight. And I got chills in my spine. And I had to get wise. For I was so afraid I was headed towards my demise. But God said, don't worry. Everything will be all right. For he already had a plan. And it was perfect. It was airtight. And I needed to believe, which meant I had to continue to fight. And I looked at that devil and said, not tonight. But I had to remain humble. And I had to swallow my pride. And no matter how much I stumbled, God still agreed to let me inside. He said, but first, all his rules I must follow and abide. And there are no other answers but to simply comply. And not until then would my fears truly subside. And I still didn't quite get why. So God, he continued to send me signs. But this time they weren't obvious. They were subtle. They were intertwined. So deep in my consciousness, I thought he was playing with my mind. But God don't play games, ladies. Although he is clever and he is wise. And he will name names. And he'll call you out every time. He said, don't you listen to that devil. For that devil is a lie. And you can't worship two leaders because our worlds don't coincide. So you can't have it both ways. And there is no compromise. And I thought, yes, I finally get it. I took over my life. God said, girl, you ain't finished. You're not going to get it on the first try. So then I had to seek to find all the other clues he left behind. For he said my path will be clear if I just read between the lines. But that devil, he thought I still had doubts. And he continued to pursue me. And he offered other options as he tried to confuse me. But this time I was prepared, and I refused to let him use me. And I was no longer scared, and I said, Lord, I choose thee. So today I had to testify and share with you my struggles, my demons, and my strife. For now I feel so much joy, I can't hold it inside. For I finally realized my Lord is the only reason I'm alive. And so I'm so thankful for being here today. I'm thankful for this opportunity to share with you ladies. I feel like I'm still going through my transformation and I don't know where the end is going to be, but I know I'm still going to become a beautiful butterfly that he wants me to be. Thank you.